Hey Jason, thanks for meeting with me today. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So, in a few minutes, just tell me about yourself and what you do.
Okay. Well, that's a complicated question. So, what do I do? Well, in case my wife listens, I'll say first and foremost, I'm a father, I'm a husband and father. But if she's not listening, I'm sure your listeners are wondering what I do professionally and why they should even continue listening to this. So, my business is relatively fluid, as it were, right? I guess that's the buzzword of today. You're in California, so you understand fluidity. I can't, of course. But the truth is, it's a multifaceted type of business. So it's consulting is one of the things that I do. Business coaching, helping people to put the parts and pieces together to really grow past their to scale, right? To get past where they're at in their business. And most businesses are kind of right on that cusp of being able to make that jump, but they just lack a couple little parts and pieces. Maybe they don't have the right technology infrastructure, or the right training program, the right recruiting mechanisms for bringing people onto the team, and right marketing. And so that's part of what I do. I help coach businesses to do that. On top of that, I'm also a franchise broker, so I help folks who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs to find that right perfect fit. So I want you to think about me as like eHarmony for franchise ownership. And so I put them in the right position to succeed based on their skill set and their capital level. I also have a marketing agency as well that if the folks that I consult with and coach need to have some solid marketing strategies going forward, they can choose to use my company as well, called Revamp Growth Systems. And then I do sales training as well for home service companies. So
Wow.
that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, you do many different things. So, how did you start? Where was the starting point in your entrepreneurial career?
Cool. Yeah. So uh, I think like a lot of people's starting point, people who start their own businesses are all oftentimes kind of strange, right? They don't really necessarily fit in the corporate world, right? Being an employee doesn't necessarily fit their bent and what they're like. And that's true for me. I was never a great student, although I was good enough to get through college and do all of the things you need to do. But it just kind of always felt like swimming upstream, right? Then you get into working a job and it's the same mundane stuff every day. And so I get really bored and sometimes cantankerous. I always tried to do my best as an employee, but it didn't really seem to fit what I was like. I felt like I needed more control over what I was doing. And so I started a small advertising agency in 2016 that focused primarily on jingles. We would write jingles. I didn't know anything about writing jingles, truth be told. But I knew that I liked the idea, liked the concept of helping people with their marketing and selling them something that they could own. And so at the time, I was a advertising sales executive for a local television station, and so I had a kind of a built-in client base already with folks. And so I started that company with a friend of mine, a musician friend of mine, and did that for a little while, and really enjoyed the idea of being in control of my own destiny. But at that time, I was approached by another fellow that I'd worked with and done some advertising with to franchise his business, which was in the roofing industry. And so I took the reins as the vice president of franchise development for that company and began to build out all the systems and processes that need to be in place to be able to franchise the business. And so that kind of took my focus off of the entrepreneurial journey. And I shifted into the franchise world where you help other people live out their entrepreneurial journey. And did that for a number of years. And it just became kind of evident that it was time for a change. And so my family and I moved down to Florida, where in December of last year, where we launched this business, and it's been running ever since.
Okay, awesome. And how long have you been doing consulting for businesses?
Yeah, so consulting work, I've always done it a little bit on the side. You know, it's kind of a side endeavor, and really, truthfully, that's kind of a side endeavor too. With this thing, is you could probably tell by talking to me, everything's a side endeavor, right? I lack focus, I guess. But I've always done it for probably since about 2009 with different companies in primarily marketing, right? I was a marketing executive for a number of different outlets, account executive, I guess, for lack of a better word, selling advertising to people. So I had a built-in client base as well, and whatever sort of stuff they needed help on, I would always, offer my services and go from there. So it's from the coaching and consulting side. That's kind of how I stumbled upon that. I enjoy helping people to accomplish their goals. It's not necessarily, all about me and my own revenue stream, although that does play a part of it. But I think if you're going to get into consulting and coaching, and anybody out there listening, you best like helping people to accomplish goals. You can't do it selfishly just to earn money, because you'll go crazy real quick, because it's a frustrating line of work to be in. It's very difficult to get enough attention to be able to have enough people to even help to generate a large amount of revenue, especially early on. And so your interest will wane quickly if you don't like helping people, if you don't feel like that's your at least one of your purposes in life. And thankfully, I've been able to work with some great folks and help them to achieve some pretty cool things in their business. And God willing, it'll continue. But that's kind of my consulting journey.
Well, tell me some more about the accomplishments that you've achieved with your clients.
So from the consulting and coaching side, it's always about seeking the holes. Okay, every business has got holes that need plugged, right? Inefficiencies that exist, and when you first bring on a new client, especially when your consulting isn't necessarily really narrow focus. Like I got a friend of mine who's he's a consultant as well, but he does leadership training. It's very narrow focused. Right? Mine is more across all legs of the business relay: marketing, sales, human resources, fulfillment, technology, right? All of these different legs of what I call the business relay. And so it's all starts with like interviewing people. So when you plug that hole or fix that leg of that relay, you will see like a substantial bump, and it usually happens pretty quickly. And so my as far as best stories are concerned here, I do have one client that I work with recently that just got named to the Inc. 5000 fastest growing American privately held companies, which is a pretty cool accomplishment. Is that me? No, of course not. No. But the reason that he hit that is because he seeks out services like mine, and like others, by the way, too. He works with a number of other coaches and consultants as well. But that was a nice feather in my cap. I've gotten to see a lot of his salespeople. I do sales training with his sales team. Increase in closing percentage. It's a home service company. They do solar, windows, roofing, things like that. Been able to watch his sales team, especially some of the younger guys, jump from like a 20% close rate to like a 42-43% close rate individually. And so that's pretty neat from an individual standpoint of being able to work with folks. But big picture on that business, right, to be able to jump with your sales team in that type of a closing percentage adds a huge amount to the top line revenue. So you're talking jumping from $3.5 million to like $8-9 million of revenue over about the 10 or 11 months that I've known them and have been able to work with them. And so that one is probably my all-time favorite. Yeah,
that's pretty extraordinary.
That's
So where'd you get your sales experience from?
think the same place most people do, books and trial and error. You know, you do it long enough, eventually you see what doesn't work, and then you try to figure out what might work, and
Yeah.
implement and see if it works, and then go from there. But no, I mean, truth be told, it is just a lot of years of doing it. I started my sales career in 2006 as sold AM radio advertising in 2006. I always tell people that when I first begin working with them, and whatever you think you're selling, the struggles that you have, imagine selling AM radio advertising in the 2000s. So, you know, that's like being a typewriter salesperson. It just, the demand really isn't there, right? When you're doing that. And so you have to learn how to be really good at connecting with people and to connect the dots between value and the purchase, right? Because it's not like you have the luxury of selling something that, I mean, I think we had enough power at our radio station to like power like a light bulb, you know, so you can hear it if you're like 4 feet from the tower, but other than that, nobody's hearing it. And so you didn't really have a lot of good stories to go in and share with people when you're trying to pitch them on using your services, right? Like, hey, have you ever heard of AM radio? Yeah, it's the new wave. I'm telling you, it's coming. You know, and it was sports talk radio too. So you're really narrow focus, real niche people. And so you have to learn how to listen to people and find what's important to them, not necessarily just the results or the ratings or all the other crap that everybody regurgitates to you. So you learn how really quickly to not be a product puker when you sell a product that isn't worth puking. Right? And so you have to learn how to connect with people on that emotional level. And so it really helped me a lot. By the way, I loved, I'm not complaining at all about the experience, but when you put yourself in that situation and you're selling an inferior product, it does build up your muscles and your creativity begins to grow, or like 85% of salespeople, you just get flushed out of the industry because it's too hard. Right? You're not in there with the shiny widget. And anybody listening out there that has that isn't market leader, isn't number one, doesn't have the best features, that doesn't matter. It really genuinely doesn't matter. It's how can you connect with your audience, whether you're marketing your program or your product or service, or you're actually selling on a one-to-one basis. It's about connecting those dots and figuring out what's going to be important to them in their purchase decision, and how can I influence them to pick up the phone and call me if you're marketing. And it doesn't matter what your product is, because every product has that thing that can connect on that emotional level. And you learn that early on. Anyway, so you fast forward a number of years, right? And you end up selling a bunch of other garbage too, like so cable television advertising and billboards and windows and roofing systems and franchises. You know, you just kind of cross the gamut and see you have a nice. It gives you a nice perspective and a robust understanding of different buying personas. And so when I'm training with people, no matter what the product is, every purchase is pretty universal in the way that you influence people. And it all starts with listening. And I'm sure your listeners are going, yeah, but you talk way too much. I know, I get it. Sorry about that. But when you bring on a new client, no matter what the industry is in, you can connect pretty well with the sales team, because you've been there, you've been in their shoes, and once you have that experience. And let me ask you this: are you in sales, Ian?
I wouldn't say I'm in sales. I'm more so we see it as a relationship building, since we are advisors, right? We're not really selling products, right? We find problems and we find solutions, and we use certain tools to facilitate those solutions, but we don't just sell products. Yeah.
So, by the way, all the listeners out there, did what he said sound like a salesperson? Survey says, yeah, of course, man, you're a salesperson. What you say is, that's the way to say it, where you don't sound like a salesperson. But you are, right? You have to listen to people. You have to ask them questions. You have to find out what's important to them, right? What's going to be driving their economic engine, whatever it is that you guys are focusing on. What's going to drive that decision to partner with you or to use your services or do whatever you need them to do, it all starts with a conversation, and it starts with listening. And it really starts with asking the right questions, because those right questions are going to give you the right answers. The right answers are going to lead you to the right solution. The right solution is going to lead you to having a new customer, right? And so, anytime you do any sales, I do any sales training, it always starts with that same thing, conversation. Because I don't know what these dudes need. Like, if I'm going to sit down with a sales team that's been doing it for 10 years, you think I'm just going to go in there and regurgitate the same crap that I've been telling every other company? Yeah, of course I am. Okay. I'm not, right? Because it's so individualistic, and it's so, every person, although this process never changes, the person that you're talking to as either trying to train someone or try to sell somebody something, those people have their own motivators that are within them, and you have to find what those are. And so it all starts with questions. I'm sure I've taken us off a cliff here with where you wanted to go with that
No,
question.
no,
So
no.
I'll let you get us back on track.
Yeah, as I mentioned, there isn't really much of a direction here. It's just valuable bits and pieces. And sales is something probably most business owners have to do at a certain point. So, and it's usually a weak point in a lot of people.
Yeah.
So what are some challenging hardships or obstacles that you went through in growing your business?
I wish I could put it in past tense when you said went through or have gone through. No, it's a constant struggle. And I don't think that the struggle really ever ends for anybody. But as far as specific hardships are concerned, so anybody out there that's listening, I'm sure there's going to be several people out there who are listening who are looking to get into entrepreneurship. I think the name of this podcast is what the entrepreneurial success. What is it? Hang on. How to succeed, an entrepreneur's guide, right? So how to succeed, an entrepreneur's guide. If I were a prospective entrepreneur, somebody who's looking to get into entrepreneurship, certainly I would listen to this. And so I will tell you a few anecdotes. Number one, it is going to be harder than you think it is. Accept that. It's going to be much more difficult because things are going to come up that you're not going to see coming. Hell, you might get a lawsuit all of a sudden that shows up. I'm not saying you will. I'm not trying to scare anybody here, but it could happen, right? And you don't know. And the best laid plans, right? The old saying. No matter how much you plan, it will be harder than you think it is. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, there will never, ever be a perfect time. Ever. If you're going to sit around waiting for a perfect time, it's like those people that sit around waiting to have kids. They're like, well, we're waiting for the perfect time. Spoiler alert, there is no perfect time. The baby's going to poop itself, whether or not it's at the perfect time. Okay. And it's probably not going to poop itself at the perfect time either. So you can plan all you want, save all you want, do all this other garbage all you want. It has to feel right. Yes, I get it, but it's never going to be perfect. You can weigh all the pros and cons all you want, but you'll never fully know that it's the perfect time to do it. So if you feel like you should be an entrepreneur, I'll tell you one thing: read a book. Read a book. There's a great book entitled Leap by Gino Wickman. So all you listeners out there, if you're looking at getting into entrepreneurship, it's a pretty cool book to read. So anyway, it is going to be more difficult than you imagine it's going to be, and it's going to take substantially longer to hit whatever you think success is. How do I know? I'm in that right now, man. Started this business like 11 months ago, dude. You think it's easy? Hell no. It's hard, man. It's all uphill. Right? There's I think there's a poster I've seen that says there's no escalator or elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. You've probably seen posters like that, right? Yeah, that's true. I mean, sure, you might be able to find an escalator, which is what hopefully a good franchise would do for you. But yeah, there's no elevator. Anyway, and it's gonna take a lot longer than you think it's going to, right? I thought by now, dude, I thought it'd be autopilot, easy as pie, right? And it's not. It's been 11 months, and it's still crazy difficult. And then generating attention for your business, marketing your business, is going to be the single most difficult thing you do. Finding the way to convert strangers into customers. Now, I mean, obviously, if you're opening up a coffee shop and it's location based, you know, that's one thing. You just sure as hell better have enough money to do it, because that'll, you can get put out of business pretty quickly if you don't have enough capital to do it. But if all these people out there that are looking at starting like online businesses, I imagine you're a young guy. How old are you?
22.
You're 22 years old. 22 years old. Yeah, all right, dude. I'm 40. You're 22 years old, and so I'm guessing you are going to attract other people who are probably in that same age bracket, right? What do they call you? Gen Z? What are we calling you guys now?
I think I'm on the cusp of Gen Z and millennial, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so to the TikTok generation, we'll call you.
No, I don't do that. Nope.
Okay, good for you.
Not
Good
me.
for you. Although, you know, it's a good way to get attention for yourself. But anyway, so when you're young, right, you're gonna be attracting probably likely a younger demographic just by nature. And so a lot of people that are probably younger that are going to be listening to you are likely looking at doing some things like either a side hustle or maybe like an online business of some kind, you know, where you're doing marketing for a specific niche, right? You're going to do like build landing pages and do all that stuff. So you're going to have a lot of people like that. I'm telling you, man, it's the most difficult thing in the world is to get the attention of those people, because you can put your head in the sand and think there's nobody else offering whatever it is that you offer, and you're gonna be sorely disappointed when you find out that there's probably 50,000 people who are doing it. Because if you have that idea, guess what? So do a bunch of other people. Now, I mean, if you're creating some sort of new piece of tech that nobody's ever done before, good for you. I have no advice for you. I've never done that. I'm not smart enough to do that. But those dudes that are doing that, that are doing the other deal here, and it's going to be difficult, man. It's going to be a challenge getting their attention. And once you get their attention, harnessing that attention and turning it into money, man, you better have a good process in place, because you're brand new, likely. What are you going to do? Use customer testimonials when you have none? Yeah. I'm asking because that's what dude, that's what I have to go through. I ain't got no customer testimonials. You know, you do this for 11 months. I mean, I got a couple now that I can point you to, but at the beginning, when you're trying to get that first client,
yeah,
it's a challenge.
Yeah, there's a lot of lookalike e-commerce stores, like Shopify stores, that people are trying to do, or they're doing what is it? Amazon FBA. They're doing
online. Yeah, you get all these people doing all this stuff, right? And the only people get rich are the people who are teaching them how to do it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, all the courses, you just buy my course for $900 and you'll learn how to be like me. And it's like, maybe they started like 5 years ago when it wasn't as diluted as it is now, but now it's much harder to make money doing that. Like much harder.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's harder to make money like that. It's harder to make money like anything. It just in general, it's harder than everybody thinks it is. That's why everybody quits. Not everybody, but a vast majority of people just quit and give up. And have I been there? Shit, yeah, of course. Man, I've been, I've found myself late at night going, maybe I'll just check Indeed, see who's hiring, right? You know, that little voice of weakness in the back of your brain saying, give up, give up, give up. You know, I got 3 kids, man. I got 3 kids, a wife, sole breadwinner kind of a program here. And it's just like, give up, give up. But you have to push past that, right? If you're going to get over any sort of hurdle in your business, because it's going to be more difficult, like I said, and it's going to take longer. It's going to cost more money to do it. Yeah, so you got to have all of those things lined out.
If you're going to achieve significant success, you can't give up on a business. You know, every mentor that we have within our businesses always tell us, the only thing that's going to keep you from being like me one day is if you give up. If you don't give up, you'll be like me or better one day. All my mentors have told me that. And if that's the consistent piece of advice that they're giving, it's probably, it has some, value, merit.
Oh yeah, it's got some merit. But the key to that, the kicker to that the secret sauce behind that is when you're looking for that perfect time to start your business, as we talked before, it doesn't exist. You have to plan for it taking twice as long for you to hit, like, let's say, cash flow positive. Okay, so if you can plan for that, have enough cash reserves to get you through that, and just accept the fact that you're probably going to blow through all of your cash reserves before you get to that point, and have that in your mind, that will prevent, you should at least make it less likely that you will give up.
Yeah.
Because if you can see that, if you can plan for that and have enough cash reserves to get you past that point, there will be, because no matter what, you're going to want to quit. That's another thing I can tell you about being an entrepreneur. You will want to quit at some point. You will want to quit. Customer cancels on you. Customer leaves you a bad review. By the way, had both happen. Maybe not a customer, but somebody leaves me a bad review, like on my Google business thing, which pisses you off when it's not an actual customer. But again, welcome to the world of business. In 2022, people can say shit about you on the internet all they want. Nobody can do anything about it. But anyway, so when you see those things, you will want to give up. You just will, and it's going to happen. Hopefully, it's fleeting, and the only way that it will be fleeting is if the other F word doesn't creep into your mind. Fear. And the best way to alleviate fear is to have enough capital really to keep you going through those things, and to understand that you're probably going to spend all of it.
Yeah.
You do those things, you want to, how to succeed, that's how you succeed.
When I started, I accepted that I would probably run out of all the money that I saved up before I found success. And once you accept it, you're kind of, you got your second foot in, you got both feet in, and that's the only way you can actually go up. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
Yeah dude, you gotta be all in, man. If you're gonna get wet, go swimming.
Yeah.
Right, you have to. What's the old adage of burn the boats?
Yeah.
Right.
Burn the boats.
Burn the boats, man, because you can't, if you're looking back behind you, if you're looking back behind you, man, you're gonna want to go back to whatever that lifestyle is, because it's comforting, it's safe, right? And there's no safety net when you're an entrepreneur, and it is scary. I don't give a crap what type of business you're running. It's gonna be scary, it's gonna be challenging, but once you get that in your brain, like you're just not giving up no matter what, it makes it a lot easier to not give up. Yeah. Once you make that decision. And then again, I guess another main tip here is to find the best way for yourself in whatever business you're doing to drive your economic engine. Not everybody wants to do it the traditional way, right? Advertise, sit down one-on-one and sell and do that thing, right? So maybe you want to do advertise, bring people to webinar, group sell, then close, right? Build credibility, then close. Or maybe you want it, maybe you're not a group dude, and you want to do maybe make it where it's an easy decision, and all you have to do is get their attention, send them a link, and they purchase that way, right? You have to know what you are and how you operate. Don't listen to everybody else. Don't listen to all the gurus out there and other BS coaches that are telling you, just be like me and rented in their rented Lamborghini or whatever. They probably can't. They're probably living in their mom's basement, hoping that you give them their $900 so they can eat for the next 10 days. It is what it is. But don't just be like them. You got to know you. You have to know yourself as an entrepreneur, and know what you're good at, what your strengths are, and what your weaknesses are. Once you identify those things, either find a workaround, because if you're starting a business, you might be broke, right? You might be broke as hell like me and have to do all the stuff by yourself. Or if you have enough capital, hire your weaknesses, but you got to know your weaknesses first. Yeah. Not everybody's the best accountant in the world. Not everybody's the best salesperson in the world. Not everybody's the best marketer in the world. Not everybody's the best fulfillment person in the world, but you have to know where your strengths and where your weaknesses lie and put the right people in the right places if you can afford it. If not, find the workaround.
Yeah.
Get creative.
And what's one of the most important realizations you made about yourself in the process of becoming an entrepreneur?
That I am never going to be focused on one thing really well, but I can focus on multiple things and just treat it like it's multiple revenue streams. Like as a franchise broker, right? Could I do that full time and be a franchise broker? Yeah, I could, and I could sit down and talk to people all day long about their stuff, right? About their entrepreneurial journey. I think I'd get pretty bored. And so, and could I work all day long sales training? Yeah, I could. But I think I'd get pretty bored. Could I sit down all day long meeting with business owners and coaching them about different elements of their business? Yes, but again, I think I'd get pretty bored. And so I'm not telling anybody else to be like this, by the way. You should have focus. Everybody should have focus. They should, like the Jim Collins book, Good to Great, talk about your hedgehog concept, right? The one thing in the world you could be best in the world at. And doing that one thing. My problem is my hedgehog concept is I've got like a 4-headed hedgehog that has got ADD and has trouble focusing on things. And so, that's my issue. That's probably the biggest issue that I'm focusing on right now is okay, if I'm going to lack focus, I have to also find ways of letting each one of the arms of my business stand on its own, right? And so as any entrepreneur out there needs to hear, you can be multifaceted. You just can't be everywhere and everything to everyone. And so, for example, my business right now, as the capital grows on the franchise broker side of the business, I will begin building out the structure and systems that can help that thing to run irrespective of my daily involvement, right? So have people that are on the phone doing the initial qualification period, running the marketing, and funneling them through. So by the time they get to a guy like myself, I'm not sitting around wasting all my time with all these BS people who are never going to make the leap into business ownership. But when you start, as the saying goes, you got to kiss a lot of frogs. And so doing that rigmarole, right? The marketing side of things. I don't want to sit here building out Facebook campaigns for people. I don't. Truth be told, I hate it. I hate doing it.
Yeah.
Do I do it right now? Yeah, I do it right now. Because you know what? You start a business out. Sometimes you got to wear multiple hats. Like I always tell people, not heavy is the head that wears the crown. Heavy is the head that wears all of the hats in the business. And so, golly, dude. And so you're, sitting here clicking and clacking away, building out stupid ass YouTube or, like Facebook campaigns and all this other crap, because I know eventually that business is going to have enough revenue to support itself, to hire more people to do those things. And again, it's about having that vision and understanding that you can, even without focus, you have to have vision.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
It does. And finally, what's a message you'd like to share with our audience?
Message that I like to share with your audience. Man, if I wish I knew more about you. It was just like a call-in show. That'd be pretty fun. But message. We've already covered the fact that it's going to be harder than you think it's going to be. It's going to be more challenging than you think it's going to be. Message. I'll leave you on this. Stop looking for fads. Especially if you're one of these young dudes out here, like I'm gonna get e-commerce. I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna get into that. No, they're all fad BS crap. Look for tried and true things. If you're gonna really start a business and really make a go at it, if you're starting a business, you want to be wealthy, right? I mean, that's what everybody is hopefully wanting. You want to become wealthy. do we think sustained wealth is going to come from running an Amazon resale shop? No, it's not. Why? Because you don't own anything. You own nothing. Amazon could cancel their resale program in 4 seconds. So that's why if you're really truly going to make a go at it as an entrepreneur, because those people, I'm sorry to say, are not necessarily entrepreneurs, they're opportunists, right? And they're finding the opportunity and they're capitalizing on it. There's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But if you're looking for like a sustained strategy that's gonna take you from where you are to where you want to be long term, really look at more tried and true stuff. And if you ever want to, and by the way, I am unabashedly a fan of franchises because I think it gives you a big head start amongst your peers who are starting businesses. Let's say if you're going to start a restaurant, right? It's really difficult to start a restaurant without a brand name. So if you wanted to buy into a franchise, that would potentially give you a better thing. Although I don't really represent restaurant franchises because I think they're pretty expensive to get into most restaurant franchises for the payoff. But you're talking about like home service franchises, right? If you wanted to start like an insulation company, think about all the shit you got to do. You got to come up with a logo, all the other stuff, right? And so if you're looking to get into like a real sustainable business that can truly build wealth, maybe generational wealth, that's going to last you and not going to go away, look for things that can't be done with technology. Like Amazon reseller. AI exists, dude. Sorry, you're probably going to be squashed at some point. And so Shopify, all the other stuff, right? Cryptocurrency, get out of that garbage, man. I mean, whatever, put money into it if you want, but like, don't base your whole existence on it because it's probably not going to exist forever either. Stop looking for these fad crap. Look for things that are going to stand the test of time, that have been around for hundreds of years, because those are the things that are going to be around for hundreds of years later, because they can't get replaced with technology. And so that would be my, I guess, last thing to say to your viewers, since I've already said everything else.
Yeah, well, that's good advice as well. And that's something that I struggled with when I was 18, 19, is I was always bombarded with all these different fads that I was seeing online, and I tried a few of them, and it took me a while. I mean, I'm only 22, but it took me a while to find what I'm doing now. It's actually a practice helping people with financial stability, business growth, whatnot. But the only reason how I found what I'm doing now is because I met my mentor randomly outside, and he's a veteran of 15 years in the financial industry. So I found exactly what I was studying for in college, coincidentally, and now I have my own practice. And it kind of just happens like that. You'll meet someone who inspires you, and you want to be like them, and then you just got to make it your own. But yeah, those they'll come and go, and I've seen many of my friends kind of drown in them. And I personally had an experience similar, so I think your advice is very accurate. But anyway, thank you for joining me today. And you have a very very seasoned perspective for the amount of time you've been in business. Your perspective, I think, really can change people's outlook and the growth of their business. So thank you for joining.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks. And check back in on me in a year. Hopefully I'm not dead. Hopefully my wife doesn't kill me. Yeah. And if you ever want any tangible stuff, just hit me up, jason@revfran.com, and be happy to answer any questions or help you out in any way that I can.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining, Jason, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Take care, listeners. Be excellent.